From Estero, Florida, this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. Creators of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're talking about what may be happening under the surface when a small comment, correction, or disagreement turns into something much, much bigger.
There's an anonymous quote that says, "Connection is not built on perfection, but on presence." And I think as we're talking about when those little comments turn into something bigger, a lot of this has to do with how present we are with one another. And we'll be talking about that in today's episode. But first, we love to start every episode with a hug. And a hug is really an opportunity to celebrate you, the one family, what you're doing in your marriage, the transformation that you're experiencing. And this hug comes from an email that we received that said, "I can't even express just how much my husband and I are learning from your podcast. We've never felt so excited about our marriage, which is amazing since we've been married for 24 years and counting. Our teenagers are even noticing and making comments."
Love it. I love it. And we've heard it so many times before when we make ourselves a priority, the marriage, husband and wife, it trickles down and it impacts others. They see it and we've heard it. And so go do it. So congratulations, you two.
And just as a side note, it's always nice when teenagers notice something. Like, good job. Good job. If you can get them to notice something that's not themselves, you're doing something incredible. And so that's amazing. And, you know, like Tony said at the top of this episode, we're talking about what's happening under the surface when those comments that we make back to one another that maybe on any other day might not be a big deal, but you know what happens when they become something bigger. And, you know, the truth of the matter is that as couples, especially just knowing the longevity that is in the one family, we have a lot of you that have been married a long time. We know we have our newlyweds, our, 1 to 5 years, but there are a lot of listeners, a lot of members of the one family that are 15 years plus. And, every marriage has those practical responsibilities that require a conversation, right? You have to talk about the kids and the house and the bills and the calendar and the family and the plans and all of the things that, like I told clients, gosh, I guess it was just yesterday or the day before. I'm like, we have to be adults. And it's really a big bummer sometimes because there's a whole lot of responsibilities.
There are.
That come with being adults. We have 2 20-somethings in our house. And I'm like, I would love to be a 20-something living. I don't know that I want to go back to living in my parents' house, but I look at what they've got going on. I'm like,
I think we're cool parents to live with, though. I don't think either of us could handle living with our parents. Love them both.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that
it would have been a different thing. Here's to being a cool parent.
We're giving ourselves a pat on the back, by the way.
You have to when you have 20-somethings, but coming back to this is that a lot of times all of those responsibilities, all of those adulting, the tasks, the conversations around how things are getting done, there can be the slip into where those conversations don't feel like we're having a conversation, but it starts to feel more like an evaluation, a performance review, a critique, how am I measuring up, where it might be a comment that says something like, I need help with the kids, and the internal dialogue says, you're not doing enough. Or somebody says, I'm exhausted. And the other one hears, well, you're the reason I'm so tired. Right? And there's this stuff that's happening under the surface that it's not about whatever's out there, whatever's put forth, but there's really this underneath. And we don't spend enough time talking about the underneath because it can be so easy just to fight about what's on the surface.
Well, and I always think about this, and when we were even discussing this episode, a rip current. Now, we used to live in San Diego, and now we live on the west side of Florida, but on the east side of Florida, it's very well known. There are rip currents. You don't see them from the top. They're under the surface. And if you get caught in one of those rip currents, you're taught to just let it take you because eventually you'll come out of it. You don't want to fight against it. And I just feel like sometimes in our marriages, we're in a rip current. And what we're doing is we're fighting and we don't understand there's something going on underneath and we're getting tired. We're getting beat down. We're getting not lethargic, but we're getting what's the word I'm looking for? Exhausted.
Exhausted.
Weary.
Yeah.
And if we just let it go, if we just flow with this thing. And when I think of flow here with us, I think of, all right, if we just look at our 6 pillars of intimacy, where could we be? Instead of fighting against it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love it when I actually used a rip current analogy with one of my clients a few weeks ago. So it's super fun to hear where your rip current analogy went. And I love that because I think, for so many of us, those word pictures, right, of being able to say, okay, well, what's happening at the surface, but also what's happening underneath. And I think a lot of times when we get into these conversations, there's this tug of war of one spouse is trying to connect, trying to talk about something, the other, because there's this maybe a disconnect or something else is going on. There is this tug of war. There's this unknown tension, and couples are missing each other.
And let me say this, when you get caught in a rip current, it's scary as heck. And the reason being is you've lost control. You don't know what's happening. And that is happening in your marriage too. Something is on the surface, and yet you're losing control. And we need to release that sometimes in our marriages. Like, that's one of the big prayers I have for myself is release control. Allow God to move. But that's what it feels like when you're in a rip current. And you want to fight so badly against it because you think if you gain control, you're going to win. More times than not, we hear of the stories of somebody who died because they fought so long in the rip current. And instead of allowing yourself to release control, allow God to move, and you're going to get back up on shore. Maybe half a mile down the beach, but you're going to end up on the shore.
Yeah. I mean, it's thinking about what that looks like and what it looks like in your marriage, because so often, you get these tension points that maybe you don't even seem like they're anything significant. Like, we could have a conversation about this on any other given day. Like, why is this such a big deal today? And it's because what's happening under the surface that day isn't being discussed, and what's being discussed isn't what the real problem is. Right? You have this place where it's like, well, we're going to fight about, I mean, I had some clients the other day talking about the fact that it actually started with a haircut. Started with their son's haircut. And, just a situation, middle school boys, high school boys, haircuts are like a kind of thing. And, if you haven't raised a son, okay. At some point in time, they just don't want to get a haircut, or they do want to get a haircut, like haircuts. Right. And so, situation was mom has always been cutting the hair, and dad walks in because this has been a source of tension for so long. And it's just like, hey, maybe we should have somebody else cut his hair. And what she heard in that moment was, I'm not good enough. But as we unpacked in what's been going on in the marriage, there's been some disconnect. But it became about the haircut. And as they were telling me about this, I was like, hey, just so we're all clear. And they had already figured it out by the time they had the session. We just unpacked it as part of just coaching and working with them. But I just kept saying throughout the session, it was never about the haircut. And I think a lot of times in our marriages, that's what happens, because you can get so fixated on what the presenting problem is, like what's loud in your marriage, and stop actually connecting with one another. You start to, both of you, pull back in different ways. The one that feels like maybe they're criticized will start being like, well, I'm just not even going to try. And the one that's, trying to throw it out, like, hey, I'm just trying to communicate to you. But when that doesn't work, likely there's something going on under the surface. When your normal conversation just doesn't flow, when it's like, hey, maybe we should have somebody else, cut his hair. When that's not met with just kind of the flow of conversation like the two of you do, and it does become something bigger, I would say there's probably something going on under the surface. It's an opportunity for the two of you to step into this and go, hey, let's call a time out here, because if you don't check it, and you allow that to spiral into an argument, into maybe the silent treatment, into all of these different types of things, it will impact virtually every one of the 6 pillars of intimacy. You won't want to spend time together in your recreational intimacy because you're going to feel like, well, you know what, we don't have fun when we talk. How are we possibly going to have fun when we're out together? Right? Your physical and sexual intimacy may start to suffer because if we're in this place of tension, I don't want you to touch me. And I'm sure as heck not having sex with you. when you feel out of alignment because of the tension that's going on in your house, your spiritual intimacy could suffer. Right? We all already know the emotional intimacy suffer, and potentially financial, right? If you're just in this tug of war around things. And what's interesting is it wasn't just the haircut, right? Like I said, I've seen this show up in other areas with coaching clients. I mean, it's happened to us, right? Like there have been times when it's like, hey, you know what? You're not making time for me. You're too busy. And, the comeback is always like, do you know what I have to get done? I mean, you've said that to me.
Oh, yeah, many a times. I mean, almost 30 years of marriage, we've had our moments where things are on the surface that catch our attention. And then it's like, whoa. What's really going on here? Mm-hmm. It's the little thing that shouldn't have any bearing or any impact on our marriage. And yet it's that little thing that finally cracks and all heck starts to break loose. And as you're even sharing, I got this imaging in my head of we talk about our 6 pillars of intimacy and we talk about the cracks in them. And I think what I saw was when we're strong, those pillars are on solid ground. Mm-hmm. They're on rock. Mm-hmm. When they begin to crack, the surface has now changed from rock to sand. And they're moving and they're shifting. And with that moving and that shifting, they begin to crack. And so underneath, we think we're okay. But now they're sitting on and standing on sand.
I'm just processing that.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
visual.
it was just an image that came to my mind in us thinking always that here's the thing that came to my mind is we think they're always standing on solid ground, rock. And yet, underneath, that possibly has been eroded away or whatever may have happened, which then creates those pillars.
So it's not necessarily that they're on sand, but that what we think of as the foundation of our marriages and of our pillars has become weakened. It's because I guess. So this is just a little tiny analysis here where I'm like, I can't just take them from like being on solid ground to being on sand. That's really hard for my brain to do that. But I can understand the erosion. And I think for a lot of couples, it is that erosion, right? It's the erosion of connection. It's the erosion of closeness, intimacy. For those of you that, don't remember that the definition is closeness and connection, that when we aren't actually supporting our marriage, literally from the ground up, that there can be these conversations that start to highlight the fact that we have eroded our strength.
Yeah, I mean, think about the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? The reason it's leaning is because foundationally it's on soft ground.
Is that true?
Yes. At one point in time, the Leaning Tower was straight. Elisa's looking it up.
Oh, yeah, because it was built on unstable soft ground that could not properly support its immense weight.
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's leaning.
I mean, I didn't think it was built that way. I just didn't know what the cause was of.
What I am saying, though, is we look at our pillars. Uh-huh. And I think, and this is just new for me, and I'm just processing myself, but I think we see our pillars, they have cracks, and we think it's something from outside, external, that's creating those cracks. Age, storms, whatever may happen, right? Something hits it, And yet, and I think I like your picture better, there's an erosion underneath that we are not seeing or paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And so what was stable and what was on solid ground is now sandy. And like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, it wasn't meant to hold. That ground wasn't meant to hold, so now it's leaning, which for us creates that tension, that closeness and connection. There's disconnect.
Wow, Rip Current's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You guys are getting everything in today's episode. But more importantly, we want to actually spend some time on what to do when there's stuff going on under the surface that maybe the two of you aren't dealing with. And we're going to talk about that after this break.
LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot make your email response time faster. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you find space for your 3 desk drinks. Why do you have 3? And while we can't help you find the perfect volume for your presentation video, LinkedIn can help you find the perfect audience for your business. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
This summer, Prime Video takes you back before Legally Blonde, before law school, and into the world of Elle Woods in high school. Set in 1995, this Gemini vegetarian knows exactly who she is until her family moves from Bel Air to Seattle. Packed with iconic fashion, 90s nostalgia, and a throwback soundtrack, Elle proves one thing. Law school was hard. High school was harder. From the world of Legally Blonde, watch Elle, a new original series only on Prime Video July 1st.
We're back, and we've been talking about the disconnect that happens when the two of you aren't dealing with what's under the surface, or as we have so eloquently said, eroding your 6 pillars of eroding the foundation.
What I'm trying to do is help people see it from a different perspective, because some people can understand something like a rip current because they live by the water or they vacation by the water a lot. There are other people who don't, and so, but they can understand on a creek bed, when a big old storm happens, there's erosion on the sides of those.
Tony,
I love
Tony
this.
is like Tony is on fire. I am like struggling to keep up with all of his different images today. I'm like, okay, at least clearly we've got water and land.
Well, it brings me back. It just brings me back to thinking of like our great outdoors. It really does.
Okay,
and
we're going next. Where are we going next?
No, just glaciers. Think about glaciers.
We clearly need to do a nature episode.
You
for
know,
all
like
of you.
glaciers are like pulling all the rock off the mountain walls and everything. I mean, bring it back.
Bring it back.
All right, bring it
back. First things first. What's going on in your in your ask, in your conversation? Like the person that's saying it first, like when that first interaction happens, like, hey, what about the haircut? Or I don't feel like a priority. Like pause for a second, because let me tell you, we as human beings, and I've seen this as a coach and as a wife and as a mom and people in relationship, we are super fast to act before we think, to speak before we think. And we don't actually get into this place of saying, hold up. Why is this a bigger deal today? Why did this get a reaction? Mm-hmm. What, like, I can talk about haircuts. I can talk about bedtime. I can talk about, spending time together, 300 days out of the year. What happened, or 364? What happened on this day? Why is my spouse reacting like this? What's going on? A little self-reflection here, please. Tone of voice. Think about how you present yourself sometimes. And I am saying this as someone who can get an edge to her voice.
Can I just share, though, as soon as you said it, James 1:19, and I'm going to read from the ESV. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. And I think as soon as you said that, it just hit me. It's like, quick to hear, take a pause. Mm-hmm. Because in the pause, that's the slow to speak, which allows us to not get angry. We can slowly get angry. Now, if there's something more, there may be more tension, but it's in that slow to speak that when you said the pause, it really just struck me what James says in 1:19 there is quick to hear. Like, I want to hear. And yet too often, and I catch myself, and I shared this last week, the reason I began to walk into Elisa's area, be it her office or somewhere else, because it gave me time to pause. I'm slow to speak. I'm not yelling from across the room or the house or wherever from her. Mm-hmm. I have to physically walk to her, and I have to keep my mouth shut. So I'm slow to speak. And it gives me time to pause before I see her, which has decreased the anger.
So it's thinking about, what is this interaction from the get-go, right? And again, like I said, the reflection on why is my spouse responding this way? And then getting into this place of, hey, what's going on with us? Leading with, let's get away from the you never and the you always and this performance review type thing. And I feel, all of this and go, hey, why are we having such a conversation around this? Why is this a bigger deal today Not why are you blowing up? Not why are you so emotional? Because again, those conversations and those statements will get you nowhere. But hey, that your reaction to my comment, your reaction to what I was saying feels different today. Just different. Different is not a better or worse word. It's just different. Am I missing something? Have we not connected lately? I want us to be on the same page, and maybe that's not been happening. How do we approach that? Because we are so often to just kind of like be dealing with stuff, whether it's relational between husband and wife, whether it's external situations that might have us a little rattled and thinking through a lot of different things that maybe we haven't communicated to our spouse.
Yeah.
Right? Responsibilities that we have outside of our homes that have weight on how we interact with one another, and we don't always share those things because we might be going a million miles an hour. And sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? We haven't. Like one of the couples this last week, we haven't had a lot of time together lately. Our schedules have really just had us going in a lot of different directions. Another couple had, a significant birthday, one of those milestone birthdays that, you start getting emotional about because of what those numbers mean when they tick upwards.
Yeah, those are, or you could come back from a vacation and it was so amazing that you come back and sort of feel a little blue, a little out of it.
That was you after the cruise 2 years ago.
It was.
When you came, or
last year.
Two cruises ago.
2 cruises ago.
Two cruises ago.
Absolutely.
Right. We get into these emotional states, and sometimes, if we're the one being all emotional about it, we haven't actually stopped to think about what's going on inside of us. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, why am I reacting? It's not just for our spouses to be like, I wonder why he or she is reacting that way. Sometimes we have to be self-reflective and go, where is this coming from? Why am I angry or sad or frustrated or irritated, or you stick in any other word? What's going on inside of me that maybe I haven't shared with my spouse? Sometimes we don't stop and think, we're like, well, you fix it. You just like show up and do bedtime, or you help around the house, or you put the dishes away in the right way, instead of being like, hold up. Why are the little things becoming big things in our marriage? And I will say, when the two of you have a conversation around this, when you start digging through, what might be under the surface or on the sandy foundation or in the rip current, or did I get them all? Glacier? I think glacier was the other one.
The glacier was just
the glacier was just an extra one. Have those conversations when you're not in conflict. It's really hard to be super emotionally heightened and then try and have a calm conversation.
And I would suggest, if this is a repeated cycle, you're constantly in this conflict cycle where it happens and then you're unable to get to resolution, I'm going to encourage you to apply for marriage coaching. You need to break the cycle. And one of the things that Elisa has done so well with her couples over the years that she has had in coaching is help them to identify those cycles and break them. And so maybe you are looking for it but are unable to. So apply for coaching. Go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com/coaching. No obligation. But start moving forward. Start realizing and understanding. Maybe it's just been the two of you trying to figure this out for way too long. And just having a third party in there to give you some tools, some insights can make a world of difference. And I will tell you, here at One Extraordinary Marriage, we're not here with our coaching to have you on like this perpetual, you're here for, 10 years. Our goal is to see you get healthy. Our goal is to see you have pillars that are strong and are strengthening. Our goal is for you to walk away and go, man, we got some great insights. Now we got to take action. We got to be intentional. We got to take action. But by doing so, we're going to create, and we are creating our extraordinary marriage. Mm-hmm. So if that's you and you're going like, this has been going on too long, it's time to stop it. It's time to get some insights. oneextraordinarymarriage.com/coaching.
Absolutely. And just remember, you're not going to fix everything in one conversation. The stuff that's happening underneath the surface, it's not just a one and done. Let's, just fix this with one, 15-minute conversation. There may be a lot of stuff going on under the surface. And that's where really fostering your emotional intimacy and stepping into a place of saying, you know what, we're not going to let the surface level stuff distract us. We're going to be extraordinary and we're going to go deeper so that we can create a marriage that, just like the teenagers in that hug, people start to notice. Our spouses start to notice first. We start to notice that things are different and that the extraordinary is happening.
Yeah. I love it, you guys. You know what? When you look at this, the goal is to move from performance review to connection. Your marriage does not need more grading. It needs more teamwork. And it's something that Elisa and I have talked about forever and ever. Be on the same team. What are you going to do to uncover what's under the surface so the two of you can have that extraordinary marriage you desire? Go after it. Take some time this week. If there's something that's just under there, there's that rip current, there's something else that's going on under there. It's eroding, right? The banks of the river are coming down. Whatever that visual is for you, understand that you can take steps, you can be intentional, and you can take action to create change in your marriage. So you guys have yourselves a fantastic week. We're honored and blessed to have you part of the One family. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys.